All right. So here's the time of the show. Is it time to roll over and consider a new business? Is it time to consider a boring business? Is it time to stop creeping out in the DMs? And there we go. Okay. Yes, sirree. It's Friday. It's Friday in the morning loop, and we're back at it here, rocking and rolling on the morning show. Mornings in Live with Keith, John, Marty, and I'm off half the screen with our special guest, David Sauers, today, the CEO of Royal Restrooms. And we got a special guest coming up today as well, Brooke, Swedar, joining us for In the DMs, center stage. Are you guys creeping out in the DMs? Too many guys are creeping out on the DMs over on LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about it today with Brooke Swedar. We're going to also talk with David Sauers about, hey, boys, is it time to leave your old business behind? And we're not talking about the shitter. No, is it really time to wake up and go, I think I want to do something else? And the power of boring businesses. Today, Mornings in the Lab, myself, John, Marty. And without further ado, I got to bring the boys on the stage right now because I can feel the energy emanating, there's the word this morning, emanating from the old back rooms of the Mornings in the Lab studio. And we got the boys here this morning. Good morning, boys.
What is going down? I got to tell you.
Good morning, guys.
Emanated. Johnny, what are you thinking, man?
I'm thinking that I've been waiting for this days. I've heard about this dude who has these amazing Cadillac type shitters.
Yes.
And I've actually, out of love, nicknamed David Sauers Mr. Shitter. And I get to meet Mr. Shitter today because I'll tell you, you're talking to a guy who over the course of the last 30 years, I've probably taken at least 3 times more dumps, maybe 5 than the average human being. So I have a kinship with this man. I haven't even met him yet.
Well, we are pleased to have David Sauers in the lab this morning. Sauers, how do you want to respond to that from Jon Andersen first thing this morning, my friend?
Well, he already told me he was 3 up on me this morning, so I believe it. I don't need to necessarily verify that. I'm good with him telling me it's good to go. But you were supposed to send me his address so I could send him some purple toilet paper, but
you know what? You're right. I have his address on my phone here. I'll get that over to you today so we can take care of the deep cleavage of Jon Andersen. But we know that John likes to use the old bidet. So
yeah, I was gonna say I once I experienced the bidet, I was like, you know what? Every toilet in both houses need bidets because I'm just not the same with, I guess you'd say, a dry wipe. It's just not the same.
So I can't disagree. I can't disagree with this. I have the bidets in my house too, and if you guys have not experienced that, it's a little.
Thank you.
It's
Keep
a little,
going, brother.
To get used to it. But man, I tell you what, that's the best 2 minutes you got right there. I mean that's
Shit, 2 minminutes. I'm doing it wrong, man. I'm only good about 30 seconds. I got to be a little more patient.
Man, I just hit it and I just kind of sit back. I just all right. I don't even look at the phone. It just stops.
Oh, man. There you go. So you can spend the best 2 minutes of your life hanging out in the Royal Restrooms with Sauers equipment, or you can spend the first 90 minutes of your morning with myself, John, Marty, and our guest, David Sauers, today for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends here. The only morning show to help you guys get your day started, to help you guys hit those big, audacious goals and help you guys be accountable to the next. And hey, just a reminder, this is an explicit show if you haven't heard already. So there might be some F-bombs, S-bombs, any kind of bomb landing inside of the show today. If you have children, I encourage you to put the headset on or walk them out of the room. Hey, just a heads up, guys, around the table today, Marty's got the old traditional Beats headset on. He's got a nice white, less brunches, more crunches t-shirt on. I got the black hat, night glasses, and good John Varvatos jacket on. Johnny's wearing his black glasses and a nice red hat. And we got Sauers hanging out with the with the nice purple shirts, nice hairstyle today. You got some black headphones on, rock and roll this today. And hey, good morning, good time. Thanks for joining us here in the lab. We always love having you in here. You are a consistent streaker. Speaking of streaks, guys, I just got to get something off my chest about streaks. So I got up this morning, went for a run. I never go for a run outside. The first time in my life, boys, went for a run outside today. I went for a run outside, and I ran towards failure. I hated every fucking second of it, but I did it. So there you go. Boom, check that off. But more importantly, guys, I logged into my Peloton app that I've been using for 8,000 years. And I recognized and realized that on Sunday when I went for a walk with my lovely wife, love you, Lauren, I forgot to log it in my app. So my streak of 18,000 days ended on the weekend.
Oh, mercy. Oh, mercy. What are you doing, brother? Come on.
That sounds like first world problem there.
Well, it's funny, David, because I reflected upon it. I beat myself up for about 8 seconds. And then I said to myself, okay, business athlete, teach yourself to begin again. Listen to what John would say. It's okay. Just got to begin again. Just got to go again. The loop.
What did you learn from the situation?
I learned that I was not present in my own brain on Sunday when I went for a walk with my lovely. But you know what the funny thing was, Johnny, is I knew something was hanging over my shoulder for the last 5 days, and I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, something's missing. I logged in today. I was like, that's what it was. And it's funny how you just kind of know about that, right? But anyways, I broke my streak. And if you guys all got streaks, and not in your underwear, because if you got streaks in your underwear, you haven't cleaned it out in the bidet or you haven't spent any time in the royal restrooms. But hey, we're talking streaks. If you broke a streak, it's okay to restart, right, Jon Andersen? Let's talk about that for a second, because the power of the streak, but the power of recognizing when it breaks, you mentally fucking get in your head, man. Talk about that, Johnny.
Here's the thing. Everything is good. You make a mistake, you learn what not to do again.
Yes.
You don't make a mistake, you get deeper into your groove and you keep getting better. It's all a perspective. Everything is good. There's a silver lining to everything. So a mistake is just an opportunity. A problem is a challenge as well as an opportunity. It's all about how you frame, how you look at what's going on around you.
There you go. So what do you think about that, Sauers?
I mean, hey, you did something different. You tried something different. I mean, you went outside. You ran outside instead of using the machine. So just because you do something different doesn't mean it's wrong, and it doesn't mean that you didn't learn something. So, that's it's two positives right there. I mean, be grateful.
It's funny how but we quickly roll to the negative though, right? Like in my head, I was, oh shit, I broke my streak and I was beating myself up about it. And I bring it up here this morning because I think it's relatable to people tuning in, right? They're like, okay, I'm getting up, doing my thing, or I slept in this morning and we break a streak, but we don't know how to get out of that. So I wasn't expecting to talk about it as much as I did this morning, but it was bothering me. I'm like, nah, fuck, I broke my streak, but I got to restart it again. So we restart the streak, and it restarts here this morning with you guys on
and
morning.
You restart the streak a little bit smarter than you were during the last one.
That's right. That is absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Hey, so I got something for you guys to put on the table this morning during the morning loop. The first 15 minutes of the day that's unpredictable and you don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. And I'm going to keep it safe today, guys. Harvard did an 85-year study that revealed the number one key to happiness. Yes. And I see Sauers David thinking about this. David, what do you what when I say this, what comes to mind for you, David? Because it might be as obvious as we think it is. What do you think, David?
I mean, I'm going to go right back to grateful. It is hard to continuously be positive and energetic, and but being grateful, it resets your mind, and it makes you think about the wonderful things, and it really changes that entire attitude from the negative connotation that you want to jump to. But if you stay positive about something, it's kind of like, you know what, we didn't tighten the lug nuts on the tire, we didn't clean the thing, but you know what, nobody got hurt, everything went fine, nobody even noticed. We're grateful that everying went off without a hitch. And I think when you change that mindset, it really strengthens that, just that overall happiness.
Yeah. Talking my language, brother. My language.
And you know what, David? Johnny showed up here a couple days ago. Marty, I'm going to come to you about this question. What do you think is the number one thing for happiness? But Johnny showed up on the show a couple days ago, and he was a little bit he was a little bit out of sorts. And he's like, I recognize that I didn't finish my gratitude loop yesterday. And I'll speak on behalf of Johnny here, but he's like, yeah, I went through my day, right, Johnny? And you're like, something was missing, and you didn't fully set your moment of gratitude on Wednesday, that one day of the week here, and you found yourself wrestling anxiety throughout the day, Johnny.
About 10 o'clock, I realized, something is not quite locked in.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized I started backtrack a little bit and did a little inventory. Normally I do inventory first thing in the morning, do it at evening, but I thought, you know what? I need to check the shit out right now.
Yes.
And I realized, wow, I didn't get myself all the way set into that mental place where I need to be. And I made it from 3 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the morning. It put me in a different mental space, or kept me in a different mental space, because my brain always starts off in the doom and gloom. That's why I have a second alarm that goes off that tells me, okay, snap out of this shit.
Yes. Hey, we got a comment coming from the side here, guys. Marty, Johnny, we're going to be happy with this one. Cosmic Vision gets up and says, I'm about to hit the treadmill. Thanks again for the motivation, guys. That's awesome. Cosmic, what you're doing is the whole reason we've started the show, to help you guys get up and go, fuck, I got to get going here. So Cosmic is out doing a run here this morning, and we got good time, obviously, as well. We got Jacob in the comments. We got So Young joining us here today. Oh, So Young, always good to have you here. I owe you a chat here along the way. But Marty, what do you think, according to Harvard here, the Harvard study, what do you think was the number one thing that profoundly mattered when it comes to happiness for human beings?
It should be gratitude. I think that's, the number one thing for sure. You got to realize, like, a lot of times when we go through stuff, we focus on what's wrong. We don't focus on what's right.
Yes.
Yeah. One thing going wrong, you might have some issues at work, but you got a beautiful family. You might be fit, you might have, a ton of things, great things going on in your life, but you focus on that one thing. So you think your life is crashing and burning, and it's really not. And the thing that you're focused on is more than likely fixable. There's probably a solution to it. So definitely gratitude.
That's it. Well, so this study started in 1938, boys, and the study was finally able to reveal the one thing that profoundly mattered when it comes to happiness in human beings. And the one thing that these folks recognized as they've aged in this big ass study was social fitness was the number one thing to keep human beings.
Define that. We could take that a lot of different directions. What's the definition of social fitness?
Absolutely, Johnny. So personal connection creates mental and emotional stimulation, which are automatic mood busters, while isolation is a mood buster. The reality was loneliness is killing us as we age, fellow human beings. So as we age, to divine and to wrap our arms around happiness, we want to continue developing that social fitness as we go through our life. This Harvard study started in 1938, and the reality was we need to keep human beings around us. Johnny?
Social fitness does not include social media for human contact, correct?
Correct. The surprise.
Okay. I was going to say, let's define that right now. So people think, oh man, I see people all day long. No, dipshit. You need to see someone that you can touch.
Yeah, man, I'm with John. That's social happiness, I guess. And trying to mentally prepare yourself for every day just to present that positive attitude and going out, being in front of employees and people is, it's hard. It's mentally exhausting. And I can say when I go home, I kind of want to knock off. It's hard to stay that, with that social interaction and continuing to go that extra mile when you put so much energy into doing everything every single day. So that's a hard one. That's very difficult.
So if you want to keep yourself young, folks, keep yourself with that social fitness and keep connected to human beings. We're going to come back to this topic hopefully later on in the hour here. But what we're going to do right now, guys, is we're going to transition to the accountability check-in, and then we're going to come back with Brooke Swedar for Center Stage, a special topic. Men, you got to stop creeping out the chicks in the DMs. I'm telling you, you got to stop creeping them out. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Brooke Swedar. But first, we are going to do this. All right, boys. Here's I got something for you today. If you are chasing a perfect 50-50, you know that 50-50 work-life split? You have already lost. Yeah. Here's why. Life does not stay still. Nope. Family needs change. The diapers need changing. Yeah. Work demands can shift personal challenges. They pop up. In other words, shit happens. Trying to balance it all is like playing that fucking game of whack-a-mole. Whack, 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 whack. Success, it's not about balance. Nope, it's about intentional imbalance. Yeah. Some days work needs 110%. Other days, it's your health and your family. And we just talked about it's that social connection. The key isn't juggling everything. It's about being 100% present with the priority at hand. So listen, nation. Listen to me right now. Stop chasing balance. Fuck that. It's all bullshit. It is. There's no such thing as balance. You got to pull one lever over goal and attack it. That is your accountability check-in here today on Friday, September 20th. Mornings in the Lab with myself, Keith Bilous, Jon Andersen, Marty Fit, and our special guest, David Sauers and Brooke Swedar, coming up here in a moment. We're going to bring in center stage. Let's see, old Brooke. What's shaking, Brooke?
Good morning, Keith.
How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. I got to say, I love the shades that you've been wearing every single day. I love it so much. You've taken it to the next level.
I've had to up it up, man, because we are a visual medium, Brooke Swedar. So we got to appeal to the folks that are walking, scrolling through the feed and they're like, who's this fucking dude talking there with the nice glasses on? And who's the dude with the nice headset? Oh, that's Marty Fit down there in the bottom.
Hey, Brooke, I still never got credit for the shades. He loved my shades. Now he's wearing shades. I'm just going to throw that on the table. This is it. I still love you, Keith. I still love you, man.
So hey, we're here to talk center stage with Brooke Swedar. We're introducing a brand new segment here on the show where we're taking special guests, special topics, and throwing them on the table to have a conversation. What's shaking? Shelly Spence, she's joining us here in the lab. She's shouting out there, Brooke, and we got 10 minutes with Brooke here before we lead into the C Marty Fit tip. But the question we're going to talk about today, Brooke Swedar, you put something on LinkedIn a couple days ago about the creeping out in the DMs on LinkedIn. And you're like, men, stop. I want to work with you. I want to get to know you, but you got to stop creeping me out with all these creepy DMs. Brooke Swedar, let's lean into the topic today, creeping in the DMs.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't normally post about stuff like that, but I did get kind of fed up. So I was like, okay, enough is enough, exactly like you said. And I'm a very active networker. And especially now, too, that I'm in the tech field, it's very heavily male dominated. And that's wonderful. I'm very thankful to say that most of my connections are extremely respectful. And I've developed very meaningful friendships and business collaborations and partnerships with these incredible people. But at the same time, pretty much on a daily basis, there's someone sliding in, something inappropriate or just spamming me, which is actually what I was talking about. There's a lot of one-sided conversations that happen just, throughout the day. And yeah, it's, I think a lot of it does come from ignorance though. I really do. And I do think it needs to be talked about. I do think that people need to be educated on what's appropriate and what isn't.
I can agree with that. I got to just jump in real quick, Marta. This is more your role, Marta. So I'm gonna let you run with this one hard. But I got to say, I agree with that. There's some. I mean, I'm a male, and I don't really worry too much about this stuff. But there's some freaky shit that goes on in my DMs. Man, I'm gonna tell you,
Marty.
My bad, John. I was not expecting that.
Neither was
I was not expecting.
I mean, I don't respond. I don't respond to it. I don't respond to negativity. But I mean, goodness gracious, you can only imagine what type of pictures and what type of weird shit's popping up in there, man. And I'll preface this by this was years ago. I basically a friend of mine sent me a picture. I was on this website. Mm-hmm. And it was basically called the Hairy Bear. And I'll let your minds go from there. So as soon as I got put on that website, all of a sudden it was like, and that was even before social media. Then when social media hit, holy Toledo, an email turned into getting blistered with DMs. So Brooke, I know where you're coming from, girl.
Marty.
I mean, I could run off with this all day, so I'm going to keep it brief. One thing, LinkedIn is like the wildest place to do that. I mean, if you on Instagram or X, you kind of expect stuff like that, but LinkedIn, where it's supposed to be the professional network, where you're supposed to do business deals and put your stuff out there and promote yourself, that's insane. But I just don't understand why guys are so thirsty. Like, there's more women than us, so and you can probably find, no offense to you, Brooke, but like somebody who looks like Brooke, if that's your type, you can find it in your city or state, I'm sure.
Sure.
So I don't. And then the spamming is just disrespectful. Catch the hint. So if they're messaging you and they're not getting any response from you, why keep talking to yourself in someone's DMs? That's insane to me. So I'm not going to take over the show because I could talk about this for an hour, which I've done plenty of times. Check my podcast out if you want to hear more about it, and it's gym related.
But Brooke, you started. Oh, go ahead, Marty. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask Brooke. So what do you do when that happens? Do you block people? Do you unfriend them? What's the next step?
So to be honest, if someone just sends me something like, and I do a lot of live stream stuff, or, sometimes if I post a selfie, someone will send me messages saying something like, oh, you looked beautiful in your picture. I'll kind of probably just ignore it, right? Because it's not hostile, but I'm on LinkedIn for professional purposes. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I think my cam
lost. There you go. You're good.
All right. Are we back? Sorry about that,
here.
guys. Anywho, but I was just saying, so I'll kind of just ignore it. But if someone just keeps at it, they're gonna get blocked. I mean, I don't really engage in like argue or just say leave me alone, because in my mind it's like you should know better, especially if I'm not responding, right? I'm not going, oh my god, thank you so much. I've been waiting desperately for a man to show up and tell me. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. I really don't understand the mentality, but you're right, especially since I'm particularly active on LinkedIn, and it's not Instagram, it's not Facebook, it's not a dating app. I'm there for business purposes, looking for work as a software engineer. So I just don't have time for that. I really don't. I have a pretty low tolerance.
But then, Brooke,
I think that's why the weirdos, I think that's why it's so intriguing to them, because they know they're not supposed to do it. So that way it's even more exciting to them.
Sure.
Do they know, John? Because, I had the privilege of playing Division I basketball. So even in high school, we had classes, like at camps, we had classes on how to treat women, how to not be disrespectful, and the consequences that can come with that. Because you can get a little harassment charge or a harassment case, and it's over for you, buddy.
I'm gonna go back to every creature. When humans are creatures, every creature on this planet down deep knows the difference between wrong and right. Question is, are you actually following what's down deep? Now, granted, I understand there are some people that are pretty off kilter, but I try to give everybody I try to put everybody on the same starting line. We all get to start off equal. Every step you take, you're going to get either closer or further away where you should be. Yeah.
So Brooke, you've taken to charging men for your friends. John, Marty, I see she puts a post out and she's like, guys, you come knock on my door all you want. You come knock on my door all you want, and I'm going to ignore you, going to ignore you. But if you keep bugging me, I'm now going to start sending you my Venmo to charge you for my time, just to get you out of my world. Like, Brooke, have you actually been sending bills to guys who are knocking on your door and spamming you?
I actually have done that. Yeah, it was kind of a joke, but also at the same time, to be honest, guys. Okay, here's my mentality that I think a lot of women
we lost your camera again.
So sorry, guys. That I think a lot of women struggle with is a lot of men are very comfortable making us uncomfortable. We get approached when we're grocery shopping. We're just going about our day, right? We're followed just trying to walk somewhere, and guys don't give up when we're at a bar, like having a drink with our friends. And I think women generally are taught, like, just don't rock the boat, be nice, be polite and whatnot. And it's like, well, if you have no problem making me uncomfortable, I'm sure, like, send me $50, send me $500. Like, why not? Worst thing that happens is I get paid, and best thing is nothing.
So Brooke, let's use this segment of the show to teach our audience. We have a lot of men joining the show today. We have men tuning into the show. We got men tuning into the after show content. What's something you want to offer these men to say, gentlemen, I hear you, I see you, please stop, maybe do this differently. Brooke, throw some advice on there to the men listening right now, how to better approach a woman on LinkedIn, or at least in 2024, Brooke Swedar.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So to start off, especially if it's a woman that you don't know and have never interacted with, guys, you got to think about your approach. In all seriousness, if you're actually trying to get to know a woman or, I don't know, get her to engage with you, I mean, it's just not difficult to be creepy. And I always think, especially on LinkedIn too, I'm like, what would you think if your boss saw this message, right off the bat? What would you think if your mother saw this message? Like you talk about consequences, right? Like, see, Marty, I love that you talked about the classes and thinking about the consequences of your actions, which I think a lot of these guys just don't consider. I think it's not difficult to just be kind and respectful at first. And if a woman is receptive to that, maybe organically a conversation can happen. Like that's not such a crazy concept.
Yeah. Hey, you're hanging out with Keith, John, Marty, and Brooke Swedar here. We're talking center stage, men creeping out women in the DMs on LinkedIn. And Brooke is inundated with just creepy messages from all you boys. Guys, there's a better way to go about it. Knock on the door, be polite, ask questions, but don't never mind pitch slamming somebody. I can't imagine. So Brooke, I get pitch slammed daily by people who connect with me. As a female, I can't imagine what it feels like not get pitch slammed constantly, but just constantly inundated with, you want to go out, you like me, you want, it's constantly poking and prodding, isn't it, Brookie?
Well, what's unfortunate too, like I said, just because I do so much networking is even so, if I do get reached out to by a man I don't know, even if he starts out polite, sometimes I have in the back of my mind, okay, why is he reaching out to me though? What is the ulterior motive? Because I have also had people start out respectful, be like, hey, I loved your live that you did today, or great post about networking tips. And then next thing I know, 5 minutes later, they're like, do you have Snapchat? And I'm like, okay, all right. Okay.
That's the worst. That's the worst platform. That's the sneaky platform right there. That's what you use when you're trying to hide something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Johnny?
I just think when it comes down to it, that if you're sending a picture to somebody on social media and you can see pubic hair in that picture, think twice before you push send.
That's crazy.
Well, and John, question for you, brother, before we wrap up the segment with Brooke. You got 3 wonderful daughters who you're very proud of, who are working their way to Brooke's age. You're sitting here listening to Brooke's experiences. You're a man, I'm a man, Marty's a man, and you're going, gentlemen, what are you saying to the boys out there that are considering about to hit that message? What would be one thing you'd say to them, Johnny?
Just like if they're talking about they're sending a message to my daughters? Yeah,
just generally right now. These guys, like, if you're looking at Brooke right now, I'm looking at Brooke right now. We're looking, hey, she's our friend. She's getting inundated by all these creepers out there. What's a little bit of advice we want to offer to Business Athlete Nation to say, think about something before you hit send, besides the pubic hair comment, Jon Andersen?
Yeah, I think that, just a little bit of genuine, authentic kindness will go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Brooke, I appreciate you joining us for this first segment of Center Stage, this new segment we're introducing on the show here, where interesting topics, interesting guests, putting something on the table that deserves talking about. We're not going to wrap a whole show around it, but we're going to put something out there that the audience might want to go, yeah. And when I saw your post on LinkedIn, Brooke, and I was like, holy shit, we got to talk about this. We need to talk about this because I think it happens more often than not, but nobody's talking about it. So we're going to talk about it here on the show. So Brooke, thanks for joining us here today. Any last closing words from you before we say goodbye and we get on with our day? Brooke Swedar.
Just want to say thank you guys so much for asking me to come on and talk about this. Like I said, I do think so much of this does come from ignorance, and people need to be educated on it. It is something that should be talked about. Awareness should be raised, and it can make all the difference. Even if it makes one person pause, success.
That's it. And before you leave here, Brooke, we're gonna keep you on the room for some humor because you've been around for a little while. But Good Time says to Johnny, I think people shave now, John.
Well, some people probably do.
Yeah, every trend comes back, John, right? So back in the 80s and 90s when the forests were bushy, and then we went into the world of the early 20s, and the Brazilian rainforest took over society, but I think society is leaning back into the bushes of the world again. I'm thinking.
Well, but the question is I agree with what Good Times say, but the question is that person that's keeping it high and tight, are they managing that every day? Because if they're not, all of a sudden that pubic hair joins the picture back real quick.
There you go. All right. Hey, Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, Marty, and our guest, Brooke Swedar, Center Stage. Brooke, have an awesome day. We'll see you in the feeds. And men, leave her alone. If you want, Listen, she's looking for a great tech job. She is a smart, well-accomplished human being who will move your business to the next level. If you want a great tech lead, you got to go hire Brooke Swedar. Brooke, we'll talk to you later, kid.
Appreciate you, Keith. Have a good one, guys.
Good to see you, Brooke.
Have a good one, Brooke.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you, Brooke. All right, guys, guess what? It's time to do this, Marty.
Let's get it, man. We got the fitness tip for today. And I'm before I go, I'm just glad we had Brooke. I wish I could talk about that so more because there's so much I want to say. But let's get to the fitness tip because we all could use a great fitness tip, and I got a great one today. All right, so we're going to clear up some common myths about six-pack abs. Let's talk about it. All right, people think abs is peak health, and I'm sure John will agree with me if he didn't leave and go to the bathroom that some of the people in fitness that preach abs and preach some of these things are actually not healthy. All right. Visible abs don't always mean that you're healthy. Health is not about balance, strength, health is about balance, strength, endurance, flexibility, and mental well-being. Acquiring a six-pack, sometimes people go extreme lengths and extreme measures to get that six-pack. Okay. You don't need to do endless crunches for abs. That's not how abs are developed. You develop your abs in the kitchen. If you don't see your abs, and I'm sorry, this might hurt some feelings, but it's the truth, including myself. If you don't have visible abs, you have fat on your stomach, and you have to do some things to remove that. And a big part of that is nutrition. That's why they say abs are built in the kitchen. No amount of crunches will get you abs without proper nutrition and overall body fat reduction. Myth number 3, six-pack abs are for everyone. Genetics play a big role. Some people may have strong abs, but never see them due to how their body stores fat. I know for myself, my six-pack, I have it a couple months out the year. Some years I don't have it. It's hard for me to maintain it. So some people can maintain it all year round. I think Jon Andersen has a six-pack all year round. That's great for him, but I'm not him and he's not me. And myth number 4, a six-pack means you're fit. It absolutely does not. There are some people who aren't super fit and they have a six-pack. They just have super low body fat, super fast metabolism, and they were born with that. Okay. Visible abs don't guarantee your athletic performance. True fitness includes strength, endurance, and mobility, not just aesthetics. Focus on long-term health and functional fitness over appearance, and the results will follow. That's the fitness tip for today.
There's the fitness tip of the day with C. Marty Fitz. Hey, Marty, I got my six-pack right here, brother. My six-pack of purple toilet paper.
Got a six-pack of Reese's too over there.
That's right. Courtesy of our friend David Sauers, who's joining us here from Savannah, Georgia. He's the
Oh, look at that. He's got himself a hat on. Come on, baby. Come on.
I need to get a hat.
That's it.
Come on, baby.
There we go.
Creeping on John here a little bit.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. I'm digging that. We're going to set a new trend, brother.
That's awesome.
Hold on, guys. I can't be the only one without a hat. Hold on.
I love it.
Marty's going to get himself a hat, and we're going to keep the conversation going with David Sauers. And hey, we got some comments coming in from the feed here today. We got good time. Yes, I love this one. I love this one. I love this one. Johnny, David, look at this one. Good time. Today is 1 month of my morning walks. Thanks to you guys. Well, tomorrow will be tomorrow's going to be 1 month. Good time. Dude, that is awesome. And again, we started this show to help people like yourselves and all of us to get ourselves going every single day in the morning. And we got Marty back with the boat. He's got the hat on as well. Yes, it's the morning show with the hats on here today. David Sauers is the co-owner of Royal Restrooms. He's setting the gold standard, Johnny, Marty, in clean, portable, luxury restroom experiences. He's been on the show a number of times. He's a super fan of the show, super guest of the show. He's a seasoned entrepreneur with deep roots in the events industry. David has seen it all, from high-end galas to disaster response situations. And Andersen, you can only imagine the stuff I'm sure he has seen in some of the event situations. He's a leadership Savannah graduate. And Marty, I got to throw to you, pal. What did David say one day when he's like, I don't want to be in the bank anymore? What did he say, Marty?
Fuck the bank.
From that moment on, David's like, fuck the bank. I'm going to go and open up the cleanest, most awesome portable restroom experience in North America. I'm really excited to have our friend David Sauers here on the lab here today, because we're going to talk about this idea as entrepreneurs when you wake up and you go, I've been doing this for a while. Should I start a new business? Should I move on, or should I stay with this one? And sometimes, and I'm going to put my hand up, John and Marty, my co-hosts, sometimes somebody else has to make the decision for you. My old job at ICUC, I didn't make that decision. Hey, Keith, yeah, we're going in that direction. Okay. And we want you to go in that direction. Oh, okay. And sometimes the best decisions have to be made for you. But David, as an entrepreneur, should you stick with your old business or move on? Because 20% of small businesses, David, fail within the first year and 50% fail within 5 years. David, how do we know when to keep going? How do we know when to hold on? How do we know when it's time to make a change? Sauers.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it all has to do with grit. How much strength do you have? How much personal belief do you have in what it is that you're doing? And without necessarily having the blinders on that make you so hyper focused that you don't see the wrongs, keeping to, you want to make sure that you're continue to be innovative, and the experience is what you want it to be. And, if you believe that, you keep going. Too many things that go wrong don't necessarily make it wrong. You just have to keep trying a different direction and learn from your mistakes and just keep pushing on if you believe it.
Mm-hmm. Johnny.
Yeah. I've been, I've never had a job. I've always done it myself, meaning I've always worked for myself. Yeah. I've always decided I'm going to do it my way. And so I've been in a lot of different, I've created a lot of different businesses. And one of the things that I've realized over the course of my time in business is that productive procrastination it's like a deadly gas you can't even see. You can stay busy, but have you identified that task? And there's one task in your list of shit that needs to be done. And if you invest your energy on that, it's going to move the needle forward. And if you don't put your energy on that, your business is going to flounder. And I think this is why so many of them fail. And usually that one thing that needs to be done is the thing that's the hardest. And people tend to think, oh, I'm going to work on that tomorrow and I'm going to do this today. And that cycle just continues. So, if you got a business and you're floundering, call it what you will, really, really look at what needs to be done. What is the one thing you can do that's going to make massive for progression? Because there's always one thing. So my advice to a business owner is don't sit there and flounder. Identify what you got to do. It's going to be hard, and do it.
Yeah. Marty.
Yeah, I'll say this too. I think a lot of people fail because, and I haven't been in business as long as you all. So, I'm still on my path, but just from seeing personal trainers that started when I started, it's a lot of them that are not still around. And I think a lot of people don't understand, what goes into it and how invested you have to be. And like Keith said earlier, there's really no balance, especially in the beginning days. You really got to put a lot of energy into it. So there are some things you might have to, cut out your life or limit. But I think that's why most people fail.
David, with your experience in crisis management, how have you spotted early signs that a business that you're working on or a situation that you're working within isn't salvageable? It's stuck, and you're like, oh, this ain't working. I got to do something differently. What has that event experience taught you, David, around that?
Well, so many times in those instances, you are continuing to do the same thing, but expecting a different outcome.
Yes.
And you really have to sit back and reanalyze the whole situation from multiple different angles and say, is this viable going forward? Or is this sustainable? Is, just because you want it, do other people want it? And I think that you need to continue to make sure that you stand out above your competition and, make the changes necessary to put you front and center to be viable.
Mm-hmm. Johnny.
Yeah. It kind of, I totally agree. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. Identify that thing, or maybe it's a couple things that is going to put you in a class of your own. Because the difficult things that are stopping most, many businesses, it's human nature. People identify, oh God, that's going to be difficult. I'm going to do this. And most people are doing that, and they're repeating this mistake. They don't even know it. So do what you got to do to put yourself in a league of your own.
Yeah. David, sometimes, so listen, according to Harvard Business Review, 70% of entrepreneurs fail in their second venture. Sometimes the better choice isn't abandoning your business, but pivoting. A new approach, new product, or audience could revitalize an existing venture. What do you, David, as you know, I'm a big entrepreneur. You are as well. You're into something big time. What drives the failure, or what drives the pivot to change? Is it, as the entrepreneur, the loss of the passion in the project? Is it, as the entrepreneur, the focus on something else? How do we know when a pivot is better than starting over, David Sauers?
Well, I think a lot of, entrepreneurs on a whole, they look at, well, one, they don't really necessarily own entrepreneurship. They feel like, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to have all the time in the world. No, when you work for yourself, you work 24/7 every flipping day. And, other people don't see that. It's not because they just see what they want to see. But like with my business, with Royal Restrooms, we've been, we're celebrating our 20th year, and I am so grateful for that. And I have offices all over the country, and I have wonderful office owners that contribute and spread the experience of Royal Restrooms everywhere. But I have one perspective that they don't have, and I have the perspective from the entire country, from events from the West Coast to the East Coast to down south, from disaster response to weddings. I hear everything that's going on. And one of the things that we heard was, we want something a little more. We want something a little different. And so that I'm trying something. I'm testing some new markets, some new products with beverage trailers and office trailers and, TV trailers in some of our markets as an add-on, because we're in the events industry. We, that's our specialty. We like to consider ourselves a professional, in professional services rather than just sanitation services. And a lot of my office owners are like, we're a restroom company, and they are so starch on that. But I think a lot of that comes down to, they're comfortable where they are now. They don't want to be as aggressive entrepreneurs and work something that they did 15, 20 years ago when they were, now they want to hold on to what they've got rather than keep continuing to expand. And I see that in so many different businesses and so many people that I talk to, that they just, if you're not growing, you're just stagnant. So you have to continue to grow and be innovative and stay ahead of the competition. Royal Restrooms is one of the leaders in the industry, and whether that's could be debatable, but all of those people are still looking to see what we're doing.
Yeah. So I'm going to debate David for a second here. So David just said he's one of the Royal Restrooms is one of the, no, David, Royal Restrooms is the leader in the high-end event shitter industry. So they're not the one of. David Sauers leads the ultimate clean Royal Restroom experience over in North America. Jon Andersen.
Yeah, so I think just for the listeners that may not have quite caught what he was saying. So he's got this thriving business, Royal Restrooms, and he's solved this massive problem for a whole lot of customers, and they love it. And so now what he's saying is, you know what? I think I can solve even more problems for my customers. And then he brings them another solution for another set of problems. And that's how he's basically just piggybacking or backpacking his success with Royal Restrooms. But the customers are not thinking, oh man, he's trying to sell me something again, blah, blah. They don't receive this negatively. They think, this guy already solved a massive problem for me, and he's got another solution. Let's check it out. That is like straight up A+ entrepreneurship. He's already got customers that are happy with the service. If he can solve another problem, they're going to be right there and happy that he brought that solution to them.
Well, what's awesome, Johnny, is that David has used the Royal Restrooms experience as the Trojan horse into the event space, right? So it's like, hey, you all need restrooms. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And we've set the bar here. Okay. And then once y'all get comfortable with our restrooms experience, they're like, oh, well, maybe you want to have this.
Yes.
Oh, maybe it's that old adage of adding fries to the menu, isn't it, Johnny? You want a hamburger, you want fries. I love that, David. I didn't realize that you guys were offering those extra services to customers. What a wonderful way to grow the business. Hey, listen, you're here with Keith, John, Marty, and David Sauers talking about, when is it time to leave your old business? When is it time to reinvent it? When is it time to pivot as an entrepreneur? We're going to come back to this conversation in 2 minutes and continue talking entrepreneurship with David Sauers, the CEO of Royal Restrooms, the cleanest restroom experience in the event industry in North America. But what we're going to do first, Johnny, is we're going to lean into a lifestyle tip. I know you got something for Business Athlete Nation to give them something to think about to help them get to the day today. So Marty, David, we're going to step aside for 90 seconds. John's going to step up and we're going to do this.
All right, everyone. As always, want to bring you a very simple, actionable tip that can help you be more productive, have a better day, all the above. And here's the deal. When you wake up in the morning, when you engage in some sort of a challenge, you do something that might be a little difficult, call it whatever you want to call it, challenging, difficult, all the above. Overcoming an obstacle early in the morning basically is going to frame your mind so that as the challenges continue to come forward through the day, you've already engaged in overcoming an obstacle, a challenge. It's going to be that much easier to overcome the bigger, more difficult challenges as the day goes forward. And here is why. When you engage in something challenging right out of bed, of course, it's a pain in the ass, don't want to do it. Myself, I get right on a rebounder and I bounce. A rebounder is a trampoline and I bounce for a song, which is usually 3 to 4 minutes. Do I want to do it? No. But I got it done. My brain gives me a little hit of dopamine, which is the do it again drug, saying, okay, I like that. You overcame something. Let's do it again. Now my brain is looking for the next obstacle to overcome because it wants its fix. Well, when you put your brain in that mode of overcoming obstacles early in the day, you will be blown away at how easy it is to continue to deal with the things that maybe you don't want to do. So remember, start your day with something challenging, difficult, whatever you want to call it, because you are setting yourself up to make everything else in your path that much easier to handle. Rock and roll.
There you go. The Jon Andersen lifestyle tip dropping every single day at 8:45 Eastern time. Something to give you guys to think about, move yourself through the day, hit those big audacious goals. You're hanging out with Keith, John, Marty, and David Sauers. Mornings in the Lab. We're talking entrepreneurship with David Sauers, the CEO of Royal Restrooms. David, when as you were making the change as you were looking at the business with your team and say, hey, we sell restrooms, but we also can offer other things to our customers. Pivoting takes careful strategy and planning. And as Marty likes to say, you can't just wing it, right? So from your leadership experience, David, what was that top consideration before you said to your partners, let's add this, let's try this, let's test this? The difficult thing for many entrepreneurs is to try or to test something, but you're like, okay, let's make an investment. Let's try to offer a new package to our customers. What was talk us through that strategy, David, which got you guys there?
Yeah, of course. So my strategy was instead of just rolling it out, let's test it first. Mm-hmm. So we started a couple small businesses to start testing the market, putting it out there and seeing, what the reception would be so that we would have some kind of baseline to go back to people and say, hey, take a look at this. This little beverage cart added a whole nother feature. It doubled your revenue at an event, and it created a whole, another little party, I guess, over here. It's already needed. I mean, if you've got bathrooms, odds are you've got drinks or you've got bars, you've got concession, you've got something. And so the small things just started to kind of take place, and these things have been on the back burner for a long time, but it's all pre-planning, pre-testing prior to kind of really rolling things out. I mean, we still haven't rolled out all of these services all over the country. They're still in small little offices, ramping up. So it's a positive outlook. It looks great. The reception has been outstanding.
And you're making things easier for your customers. They're going to order the shitter and they say, well, yeah, let's get the drinks. Let's get the napkins. Let's get this. You're creating a service that makes it easier for them to do business. So it's a win for everyone. I love to hear it, brother. Good shit.
Yeah, no, it's when we go and do a festival, a larger scale festival, something, it's like, you know what, we have some office trailers, We have some refrigeration trailers. We have sink trailers for your general population. So when they do use the regular porta potties, they've got at least some place to wash their hands. And our shower trailers and our restroom trailers, all of a sudden we've got 20 trailers there rather than just a handful.
Yeah. You know what I love? So Marty and John, you know what I love about David's business is I've gotten to know David and gotten to know the business over the last, well, I guess number of months, year or so, is that he took a difficult problem, the restroom industry, right? And set a benchmark for it. But what he did is he took a very personal experience, cleaning your hands, cleaning your ass, having a very personal experience and made it exceptional for you as a human, John. Made it exceptional for you as a human, Marty. And then once he satisfied all of that, and what I'm trying to say, he excelled at that experience. He knows you as a customer, John, are like, okay, I've set your expectations on the bathroom experience. Now I'm going to introduce you to our office trailer. Now I'm going to introduce you to the different experiences. Now, John, you as a customer already have a bar set. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to go to that bathroom over there. I know it's going to be clean. I know it's going to be refreshed. I know it's going to make me feel good as a human being. What's the first thing, John, you're thinking when you go see the office trailer, right? Is that you're going to walk in there and you're going to go, oh, it's the same experience. So he takes that highly personal experience about being in the bathroom and translates it to other parts of business. It's a very different way of looking at it because typically you're like, yeah, I'm going to go sell drinks. But then how do I add bathrooms to this place? David, you went about it. You solved the hardest problem first. Johnny.
Well, basically what he's done is he's set a standard.
Yes.
And that standard is here. And so basically his current customers know his standard and know that whatever he brings them next is also going to have a higher standard. And that's what they're buying.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And Rick Klepke comes in, David, with David. Do you find, David, that you're selling the improved experience rather than just a commode? Eddie. Couldn't resist. My guess is that this is a huge perk for female clients of your customers. I guess like what Rick is saying, David, is that you've satisfied your customers with the restroom experience. It must be easier to offer the additional trailers, knowing that you've set such a high value bar. Well, it can and it has been in certain instances. But when we started our business, when we came into an industry that the standard of a portalet was the accepted solution. That was the norm. Yeah. And so our whole industry, we disrupted our entire industry by providing something nice and something clean and comfortable. And it was from an early on, we thought that this would be a very easy pitch, but it wasn't. We actually had to convince a lot of people that, hey, there's a better solution out there. And it took collecting a whole lot of people's shit to change their mind. And, and that's the thing. We're in the business of collecting that. And we want to provide that experience because it is such a personal thing that we do. And with the events, we've seen it all over the country. We've watched people lug coolers full of beer and ice out to golf courses, out to card shows, out to weddings. Well, we can provide it in a trailer that gives, nostalgia. It provides that ambience and it provides that cool factor and just fun that you're trying to create in an event. Because you try so hard to get everybody there. Why would you not want to give them that experience? Because after all, you're still, even as an event, you're selling the experience. So at Royal Restrooms, everything that we do is all about the experience. We want the experience to be professional. We want it to be comfortable. We want it to be outstanding. And we want it to be memorable. And we also want it to be, seamless. Yeah. Without as much problems. And, we're here to continue to earn your service, not just once we get it. We want to earn it day in, day out. Yeah.
So, Dave, when you talk about, the new ideas and things you haven't even laid out yet, what do you do specifically to keep those thoughts fresh? Like, how do you keep that vision going? Because a lot of people, they get stagnant, they get comfortable, they feel like they can't come up with new ideas. So what do you do? Is that a natural thing, or is there something you do in your life specifically?
I think that I've just been blessed with daydreaming, and I'm able to recognize some of the problems and solutions, but I've also trained myself to look for those things everywhere I am now. Like, how can you tweak this? How can you make it a little bit better? Even down from watching how a rental car place executes their car rentals. I look at things to, how could this be done differently? How can it be better? And how would it apply to my everyday life or my businesses? But the other thing is, I am lucky to have stimulating conversations with guys like you. So I come back and I replay it at night, and I try to, execute.
Yeah. Good morning, baby dad from Oregon. I see you joining us here today. Hey, just a reminder, subscribe to the channel, hit the old like button, hit the subscribe channel. We start the show every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the only show to help you guys be accountable, the only show to help you not hit the snooze button, and the only show that gets up every single day to help you guys hit your big, hairy, audacious goals. Jon Andersen.
I was just going to basically compliment David on, his using his imagination, because a lot of times entrepreneurs, they don't use their imagination. Imagination is a powerful thing, and as an entrepreneur, we're always trying to, we're trying to fill that void that's been unfilled. We're trying to find, problem solving and creating solutions for, the world. And you get there by, just like David said, the simplest thing is he's renting a car and he's using his imagination. How could this be better?
Yes.
And when you use your imagination, especially as an entrepreneur, you're going to stumble across some interesting stuff. And to kind of go back to what Marty was saying, if you're doing this, you're never getting bored.
Yeah. David, I got a question for you here before we head to the In the Gym with Jon and Marty segment here in a couple of minutes. David, it would be easy not to add the additional services. It would be easy to be stubborn and say, no, we are a restrooms business. No, we're not selling office trailers. No, we're not doing anything else except offer restrooms. And David, a lot of entrepreneurs adopt that mindset. We're going to do this and do this only. At what point, David, does it become stubborn not to look at new ways to drive revenue and expand the business? David?
Well, I think a lot of that goes back to the entrepreneur. That's in them. How much do they want to work? Are they comfortable? Are they just prideful? How much of this, is going to mean something to them in 10, 20 years? If you're sitting there at retirement age and you're wanting to move on, you may not want to work anymore. You might not want to go through this task. You've reached your peak. Well, it's time to let new blood come in and take over, because I get stagnant.
Yes.
I start to get lazy or lackadaisical and just kind of go with the flow. And you constantly need things to reinvigorate you and get excited about what you're doing, or else your business will fail. It may not completely drop off, but it won't be up at the top. You look at companies all over the globe that were, what was it? The cell phone, Nokia, they had the top cell phone. Where are they now?
Yes.
If you feel like you've got that, that you're the only one that can do it and you're the one doing it right, somebody will knock you off. And you've got to continue to grow in order to be at the top. And you've got to have employees, you've got to have office owners, you've got to have people behind you, backing you to do that, and also be excited and take the failure as a lesson and, change directions.
Yeah. Hey, you're hanging out with Keith, David, Jon, and Marty here on Mornings in the Lab with Keith, Jon, and Marty here. Mornings in the Lab. Shackleton, good to see you here from Canada. You have a question, throw it into the feeds. We'll do our best to handle that question here. David, can you stick around for the rest of the show, or do you got to rock and roll, pal? I didn't ask you before the show started. Can you stick around for the next 30 minutes?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Awesome. Cool. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put Jon and Marty on stage. We introduced a brand new segment to the show called In the Gym with Jon and Marty. It is a place to get information and experience and tips and tricks in the gym you're not getting anywhere else. You want to sit down with Jon Andersen or see Marty Fit one-on-one, it's costing you some cash. But hey, we do a 15-minute segment on this show every single day at 9 o'clock Eastern time, which puts them on the stage, and they just talk about things that'll help you guys achieve those big, hairy, audacious goals in the gym. Marty, you ready to rock and roll? Jon, you ready to rock and roll?
Come on, baby.
Dude, all right. Me and David are going to get off stage for a second. I might go and rip off number 2. No, actually, maybe number 3. We'll see you guys.
What's up with this guy, Jon?
So what are we talking about? What's our topic today, brother? I know you were bringing something forward. Let's go.
Yeah, so you heard the fit tip. So we're going to start with abs, okay? I only got 2 minutes to do that, but what are some keys for abs? A lot of people think it's just the ab work. They think it's the crunches, the leg raises. So dive into that. We know you got a 6-pack. I got a 6-pack about half of the year. So let's talk about it.
Well, I think the first thing that people got to understand is, everybody's got abs, even though you can't see them, they're just a very well-kept secret under, an inch of fat. So Here's the thing, and you've all heard this before. Abs are made in the kitchen, and you're talking to a guy. I spent the first chunk of my life. I was a fat little son of a bitch, and I was one of those guys that thought that doing all the sit-ups and I was backwards as hell in what I was trying to do, and I worked to get my abs tirelessly the wrong way and made absolutely no progress.
Yep.
So, from the standpoint of if you think you're going to exercise your abs to the surface, you're going to help them look a little better when you do get the fat off. But you got to remember, you want the fat off. You can do sit-ups till the cows come home. You can't do enough sit-ups to outrun that poor diet.
Exactly. And when Jon says that, he's not saying don't work your abs at all. You can still do ab isolation. You can still do the rollouts. You can do the leg raises, whatever it is, still build the abs. But Real Deal Prime just hit it. Compound exercises. You're working your abs on squats. You're working your abs on deadlifts. You're working your abs on big compound movements. A lot of people don't realize that either.
You don't need to you're doing a squat workout. You got a number of good sets of squats. You're getting plenty of all sorts of core, let's call it, not just the abs. You're getting everything. So yeah, I totally agree. If you're doing compound movements every day, a good chunk, or I should say every day, the days you're training, you're getting a good chunk of that work out of the way just by the nature of the movement. So yes, that's 100% correct, my brother. What would you say in terms of giving some sort of an actionable tip to help people? We just established that the kitchen is the biggest place to get started. Let's throw some actionable tips out in terms of helping people get those abs. And here's the thing. I want to start off by just pointing out if you're going to commit to getting your abs, you're going to have to commit to eating on more of a regular basis. So many people get up and they don't eat until noon and blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing. If you're not feeding your body is going to your metabolism is going to be going at a slower pace. Your metabolism will wake up when you feed it, the proper food, small feedings throughout the day. So if you want to get those abs, don't overcomplicate it. Just think about, eating. When I say don't even think about a meal, just think about eating a little something about every 3 hours. It doesn't have to be perfect. That right there will take so many of you guys and it'll move you in the right direction very quickly. And there's going to be a whole lot of other positive side effects that are going to come along with that, such as better energy, better focus. The list goes on, but we're talking about getting abs. So what would you say, brother? What's another actionable tip we can throw at them?
Increase protein intake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Increase your water intake.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to add another one, I'd probably say if you're going to cut, you still want carbs, but you might want to reduce the carbs and change the carbs that you're taking in. If you want abs, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, 100%. It's you're going to have to manipulate your diet to get where you want to go. And here's the thing that another thing that I think that we got to touch on is that so many people think, I'm going to get my abs for this cruise. I'm going to get my abs for the summer, whatever it is.
Just
right?
Work like that.
Here's the thing. You hear me talk about habits all the time. You live your daily life with enough, I should say enough, a handful, a few positive habits that continues to get you in better shape, and you live by these, you start to realize how helpful they are. What's going to happen is, I mean, I've had abs for 30 years, and it's because of the way that I live my daily life. And it doesn't mean that I'm starving myself. Doesn't mean I'm doing a bunch of freaking cardio I don't want to do. Yeah. I like to lift weights and I like to eat. And I do both of those. And
every day.
I keep my abs. And here's the thing. The diet is the hardest part, because the diet is every day. Training might be 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, however you're set up. But it's the diet. And explain to them how I guess you'd say how simple the diet can be. People get so bent out of shape about, oh my God, my diet, oh this, that, and the other. It doesn't have to be that way. Talk about that, Marty.
I'll say this. If your diet is boring, you're probably doing the right thing. Now, you can switch up your protein, switch up your carbs, switch up your vegetable, but you know, that's the formula. That's the format you're going to have to stick with. So it's going to be boring. You know, some people like to throw in cheat meals every now and then. That's cool as well. But I would say it has to be 90-10, honestly. If you want abs, really 95% clean, 5% dirty or cheat meals. But it's going to be repetitive, and you're going to have structure. And structure is boring, but that's how you get things done.
Well, and let's take this a step further. So as I just explained, I've been doing this I've had abs for about 30 years, roughly. Right. And I help people that want to get in shape. My clients, I have plenty of people that want to come and get in great shape, that want more energy, and they're very concerned about having a diet that is, you know, as you just said, boring, which is most people, oh my God, they want the pleasure of food. Well, here's the thing. Once you actually get into a groove, first off, you're going to realize, holy shit, I feel great. Most people don't know how bad they feel until they finally feel good. But what happens it happens literally with all of my clients, is as they start to eat better, the right foods, the timing, they start to feel so much better. It's an elevated feeling. I would say somewhere around that 2-month mark. I give them the ability to go have cheat meals, because I want them to experience what I'm going to explain right now for themselves. I don't want to tell them. I want them to experience it. So I give them that cheat meal. They go have whatever they have. Like the last one I can remember was a client that was just a couple of days ago. I had some Mexican food. And what he said was, I'm never doing that again. I felt so bad. And I said, okay, well, I'm just, I'm going to randomly be rotating those in. If you want to use it, it's your choice. He felt so bad. He made the choice. He wasn't going to do it anymore because he wanted to stay feeling good and elevated. So for those of you that are worried about a diet being boring, just so there's a whole nother world out there. And when it's something you don't want, you're not missing anything.
Yeah. And you got to change your mindset towards food. You change your mindset that food is fuel and not something for pleasure. You know, eating food for pleasure got you the gut. You know, it got you to get out of shape. It got you to the body that you don't want. That's why you blowing up my phone and blowing up Jon Andersen's phone, right? So you change your mindset towards food. That'll probably eliminate some of the problems and some of the issues and some of the insecurities that you have about your stomach, you know.
And here's an interesting, it's a little, so listen to what I'm going to say next and ask yourself, which side of the fence do you land on? Because there's two schools of thought with people when it comes to food. Are you living to eat, or are you eating to live? Think about that.
I like that,
John. Because if I tell you right now, if you're living to eat, you don't realize that food has you basically created your own prison walls, because you're thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to eat that later. Oh my God, food has become, it's taken over your mind. And here's the thing. I want to granted, you got to take accountability for this, but there's so much going on with our food that you're being duped. You know, you're eating these processed foods that have chemicals that are addictive. And so if you've fallen into the trap of living to eat, there's an element to this that's what's happening, and you don't even realize it's happening. So if you're one of those people, really think that through. And if you get away from the processed foods with these addictive chemicals, it only takes a couple of weeks before you start to realize, man, I don't have that thing of it's like an alcoholic, man. When an alcoholic needs a drink, it's all I can think about because he's addicted. Well, we now have food addictions in a major, major way. It's not just sugar. It's all this bullshit chemicals they're putting in the food.
And here, Liam Jones says, we hear that, but there's a happy medium. Food is something to be enjoyed, obviously, not to excess, but we are here for a transient amount of time. No, absolutely. And
100%.
You can enjoy food, but it's not here for our pleasure every day for every meal. That's not what food is for. That's not the purpose of food. And I tell my clients this all the time. Like, I had somebody come up to me the other day. They're like, yeah, I don't like how my stomach's looking. Da, 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 da. And I keep it real with people. I'm a straight shooter, right? You have to look at what your body looks like now is, let's say you're 30 years old or 40, you're 40 years old. Your body right now is a sum of the decisions you've made. So whether that's the food you ate, whether that's the workouts you miss, the sedentary life you live, or, that is that's from the decisions that you made. You got to look at it like that. You can't just blame genetics, even though 6-pack, you can say genetics, but you got to be accountable and really take a deep dive at what you've done and realize what you need to change.
Well, and going back to what this gentleman said, I think it was Liam, that here's the thing. When I eat what I want to eat because the foods that I like, they taste good. They make me feel good. I don't want, at this phase of my life, I've been on this side of the fence long enough. I don't want the foods that most people would want to cheat on because they don't really taste good to me. Chemically, food does not taste good. If it doesn't, I put it in my mouth. I want nothing to do with it. And it makes me feel like shit. So when you actually, so Liam, what I'm getting at is once you kind of start to, eat in a way that is really, really good for your existence as a human being, your body's going to get rid of the want for this pleasurable food, at least if it's processed and that kind of stuff. So just remember, I totally understand where most people are coming from. Oh my God, I don't want to just eat this boring stuff all the time. And I totally get it. Just remember, if you're doing it right, it will not be that way. Because when it comes down to it, at the end of the journey, or even chunk way through the journey, if it's done properly, you're eating the stuff that you're actually craving, and your body's calling for what it wants. Unfortunately, people that eat processed foods, your body's calling for those addictive chemicals.
And you see what Rick says here, wild animals don't seem to eat for pleasure, but we humans certainly need a mind shift in this area. I can't agree more, because think about it, John. We humans blame everything for gaining weight, blame everything for getting obese, but I don't see any obese lions and tigers out here. I don't see that. So clearly we're the only mammals doing something wrong, right? We're the only mammals that have that type of mindset towards food, and if it changes, we'll change.
Well, and here's the thing, I guarantee you, if we took a pack of lions and we fed him the shit we're eating, that son of a bitch would be tired, he'd be fat, he'd have all the same problems we had. It's what we're eating that's doing it to us.
Absolutely.
Hey, you're hanging out with Keith, John, Marty, and our guest David Sauers. That was the In the Gym segment with Jon Andersen and C. Marty Fit. We drop it every single day, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Listen, boys.
Oh, it's so bad, dude.
I'm just running through the pebbles to David's restrooms here. And
okay, if that's your sound, that's your choice. What do you think, Marty?
What's the cue for John to get to the restroom break?
That ain't my sound. I don't walk like that. I don't walk that fast.
All right, John's going to go for a restroom break. We're going to bring David back up onto the screen here. We're going to continue the conversation with Sauers around boring businesses, the opportunity in boring businesses, why entrepreneurs ignore boring businesses. David, 68% of entrepreneurs, 68% believe that disruptive or innovative industries are more profitable. We chase flashy businesses. We chase high visibility industries. Marty, people go to me all the time. Keith, why don't you start something simple? Why do you got to make like a fucking platform instead of just doing a coaching business? David, let's talk about the opportunity in a boring business. You sat down with your partner one day years ago and said, yeah, my daughter just peed on me because that was a horrible unclean restroom experience. We need to go create a better restroom experience. One would say, what? Your family derided you. Your friends derided you. You're like, what? A restroom business? Talk about the opportunity, David Sauers, in boring businesses and why entrepreneurs should stop ignoring boring businesses. David.
Well, I think that we just have that mindset that we have to go and work for someone else, and we have to take a paycheck home, and we have to, do this 9-to-5 job, or if, does the company have insurance for you? And, people don't like when you do things differently. People, in your crowd, they don't want to see you take a chance. Everybody wants you to, stay with them. Nobody wants anything outside of the ordinary. And I think when we do disruptive businesses, it upsets that apple cart all over, from a social perspective to a family perspective, and in our daily lives. But it's like what John and C. Marty were talking about just a moment ago. How can you make fitness and eating boring food fun? Is it like we've got those pedal cars where you actually drink and ride around the city? Should we all get on the pedal cars and, eat avocado instead of drinking a beer and see the sights? What can be done to make things different and just out of the ordinary? Flashy does sell.
You've taken a boring business, though, and you've built it into a scalable brand. Talk about the importance of scalability mattering more than glamour. Again, David, many entrepreneurs are chasing the glamour, and like, I got a great business, but then they are unable to scale it.
I see so much glamour in what he does. So let's be careful with this. I mean, that business is not boring, man.
I agree. But what I like about what David's done is he's taken his business and scaled it, where a lot of entrepreneurs can't scale a business. And he's like, no, scale this thing. Talk about how you scale a boring business, David Sauers.
Well, both Robert and I, we're hometown boys. We didn't come from money. We came from working families, and community was very important to us. But flashy, we've kind of become, we've evolved into being that brand. A lot of people are like, oh, your ego, no, man. Do you think that I was terrified to be this big, purple Teletubby back in the day. Now I wear the purple. I'm comfortable in it, and people, oh, well, that's your ego. No, it's this is my brand. That is my brand. And I am out there putting it out there so that, to make an impact, to make a statement, to make it memorable. And those are the things that are difficult for people to comprehend. So even though it is boring, it doesn't have to be boring. You can make that change. You have to step out of your comfort zone to make people uncomfortable, or to make people, look at you. I mean, I went to an event last night. I'm in my purple suit, and then I went to a Ducks Unlimited banquet. Man, I definitely looked like a duck out of water. I promise you. So you just roll with it, and if you're comfortable with it, you know who you are. I don't have a six pack. I hadn't had a six pack in 40 years. I'd love to have one. I'm sure my wife would love me to have one. But you got what you get.
Johnny.
Yeah, no, I think when it comes down to it, everything that David is saying is just so actionable and applicable. It's, simple, straightforward. The conversation has been very intrigued to me, and I just hope that everybody's picking up on how he's kind of explaining how he's gone about his business. Because, let's be honest. If you can, like he said, he's a shit collector, and if you can somehow manage that one, he's got some principles going in the right direction.
Yeah. And I wanted to add this too. People might think you're flashy and it's ego, but who would trust your brand if you didn't have something unique about you or something that stood out? And you should have some pride in your brand. I feel like you put the work in, you celebrating 20 years. you should stand out. Wear all the purple and have all the purple everything. So, you know, I struggle with that as well. You know, people do that. I'm nowhere near you, but people do that to me as well. You know, I got the big less brunch. I got everything less brunches down to the drawers and the socks. But people say that's egotistical as well. So, you know, I'm with you there 100%. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
I'm with you there 100%.
All the time, everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you're living proof of your brand. You live it. That's what else? What else? As an entrepreneur, you become your brand.
Well, and Rick jumps in and says, say it loud and say it proud with that purple, the royal color. In this noisy world, being memorable is key. Love how he owns it. And then he says, sounds like it also makes fun. Love me some more fun from Rick. Rick, I appreciate you joining into the show here. I know you join us regularly, which I very much appreciate. David, when we've talked about this before on your earliest appearance, you faced skepticism when you decided to start this business. You had family members and friends, you know, questioning you and Robert and what the hell you guys were doing. How did you overcome those challenges tied to the perception of your business? Because again, there's entrepreneurs listening right now. There's young men starting their businesses and they're concerned about what others might think. How did you overcome that, David?
Well, everyone thought that we were crazy. I mean, we had lost our minds. I mean, we both had good, respectable jobs. We were out in the community. But the thing that changed all of that was we saw a need that nobody else had recognized, and we believed in ourselves. And well, I like taking a comfortable crap, you know, and I want to do it nicely. It's my private time, you know, and so I've got to think that other people have the same feelings. They may not be as vocal about it, but deep down, it's, you know, it's a sanctuary. And Robert and I looked at this, and we were just like, it'll just take time. I know people are saying that we're crazy, and we thought that we had, you know, maybe lost it a few times too. You know, that maybe we had a few screws loose, but the overall perception, you know, even you get one or two people, this is the greatest thing. I wish I'd have thought of this. Where have y'all been? I can't believe that it's such a simple idea. Why did it take till 2000 for this to come about? You know, why did we just accept it? Well, nobody wanted to talk about it. So when nobody wants to talk about anything, the status quo remains the same until it's challenged. And we challenged it, and you know, we punched it in the face. Even though that, you know, we're still doing it, it's more of the norm now. I mean, you expect nice facilities, and you want nice facilities, and you know, we're happy to be a part of that, and happy to be one of the people that made the change, and the industry change the norm.
What I find fascinating, David, is that you're our generation. You're mine and Johnny's generation of entrepreneur, disrupting an industry that is going to support the Martys of the world and the younger generation, where it wasn't the 30 or 20-year-old saying, hey, why don't I have clean bathrooms? You know, and you're like, wait a minute, I have grown up with shitty outhouses my entire life. Why is not somebody creating clean restrooms? And you took the mantle and you owned it. And now it's hard not to look to the future and recognize that you guys have set the bar, as Johnny said, as now the standard. Right. So when people are going out, they're going, well, no, I don't want to have that old shitty outhouse because I expect to have this now. It took a couple of quote unquote old dudes to figure that out. And I find that kind of humorous, actually, David, that not a couple of young guys, you know, in the, you know, like the Martys of the world, they're like, wait a minute, why are those old guys still sitting in the old wooden shitters? We're going to create a good clean experience. Is that not lost upon you, David, that it was you know, again, in air quotes, the old guys figured out this problem, David?
Well, you know, if I hadn't have been pissed on and then pissed off about it, I would, you know, it wouldn't have evolved, you know. But the fact that I was so upset about it, you know, couldn't wipe myself up, you know, I had pee all over me. There's no paper towel. There's not, I'm just, you know, It's like, what are you going to wipe it off? Where are you going to wipe? I'm covered. So I was, pissed on and then just pissed off. And at that point, you're just like, something's got to be done. And you start looking around, but what's done? Nobody's changed anything. Nobody's done anything. This is just accepted. And people were, for the longest time when we first started testing this out, you're crazy. Who's going to want that? Why would anybody want that? And you're like, why would they not?
Yes.
Yeah. I so love that. So love that. I got to just real quick. For all of our listeners out there, David said multiple occasions in this conversation, and we've talked about it plenty of times in the past. When you have an idea and you're going to try to step out on a limb and try to do something, people are going to tell you you're crazy. People are going to tell you you're nuts. But this is your barometer. That tells you you're moving the right direction. Because if they're like, "Oh, this is great," it's too inside the box. Because to solve problems that are for people that are like David did, he went way outside the norm. And when you step outside the norm, people are going to throw turds. I mean, literally in this case, but just remember, when people don't understand, that means you're moving the right direction. So don't let them, even if it's a family member, "Oh, you can't do that." Don't listen to that shit. I was told the same thing.
Yeah. You're hanging out with Keith, Jon, Marty, and David Sauers coming into the wrapping up moments of our show here, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, the only morning show to help you guys get going. Liam, I see your comments in the feed. I appreciate you joining our show. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share it with your friends, tell all your friends. We get up out every single day to help you guys hit those big, audacious goals. David, we're going to wrap up the chat around being an entrepreneur, and we're going to wrap up the chat around boring businesses. Final comments from you on those two topics before we work towards wrapping up the show with our creator spotlight. David, what can you leave our audience with a nugget?
Yeah, the disruptors in the industry are the ones that change the norm, and that if you go back to every industry, the disruptors that people thought were crazy are the ones that have made your lives better.
There you go. Excellent. All right, David Sauers is here with us today. Mornings in the Lab. We're talking entrepreneurship, but right now we won't. Liam, you won't be subscribing. Okay, that's cool. I appreciate you joining into the show, and I appreciate your comments as well. And I invite you to come back to the show and hang out with us anytime you like at 8 o'clock Eastern time here on the show. All right, Jimmy, producer Jimmy, let's do the creator spotlight, man, before we wrap the show up today on a Friday. Going to end the week very positively. What a great show, great energy today, a lot of fun today, great conversation. Today, we have somebody who, David, this segment. We like to celebrate people on the LinkedIn channel and celebrate human beings and the great work that they are doing. So today, I have somebody who is a London area, United Kingdom. London. Yes. She is a geek and nerd. And I saw her profile and I was like, oh, I like this person. And she's all about, and considering we had a conversation with Brooke today around dating and sliding into people's DMs and doing inappropriate craziness, I thought that this person would be a great person to celebrate for today's Creator Spotlight. So today's Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight for Friday, September 20th is Jimmy. It's going to be Denny, the Chief Nerd Smith from Geek Meat Club. Welcome to Geek and Nerd Heaven. At last, a dating friendship social app. Gentlemen, get it at Brooke's DMs, where you don't need to fit in with the cool kids. Discover a space to truly be yourself, just normal life, but with more dragons. What I liked about Denny was that you read her about page, she's fun. I'm a proud military history enthusiast. My quest, Jon and Marty, is to bring geeks and nerds together for a laughter-filled alliance of friendship and fun. If you're seeking companions who share your geeky passions, whether it's friendship or romance, I'm here to help. So, gentlemen, I'm bringing this up and throwing it on the stage because you can just stay out of Brooks and stay out of these females' DMs who have no interest in you, and you can go hang out with Denny's app, and you can meet some pretty exceptional people. 4 years ago, she said, I created a traditional dating club for online dating for those singles who still in traditional values. Why? Because I wanted to find my daughter a gent. We're still looking. She's been in the dating industry for 5 years and extremely good at spotting fake profiles. Hello, Daniel Hall from Spot a Pod. We aim for quality over quality time. And Denny's motto is deeds, not words. So I would invite you to check out Geek Meat Club. Denny, the Chief Nerdsmith, who we are celebrating today on the Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight. She's got some great fun content. And, she had a post here yesterday, which is, what's the difference between a hairdresser and a plumber? Roughly 200 pounds. And it's just, we place people's jobs in different categories, and she cracks some great humor around the difference between a hairdresser and a plumber. So Denny, would love to have you on the show here to celebrate a creator you want to shine the light on for Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight. Denny Smith from Geek Meat Club. Denny. Some cool shit, man. You find just everything on the platform. People are doing everything, including getting into Brooke's DMs and causing her grief there. So, gentlemen, get out of the DMs and go download Denny's app and go hang out with Denny Smith over on LinkedIn. So, boys, it's time to wrap it up. What a great show, 90 minutes. I know we were excited about having Sauers on the show today. And Marty and John, I would say that David Sauers delivered today.
100% he did.
Did you expect anything different?
I did not expect anything different, but what I did get set up for the ending of the show, and I have not upgraded it yet, so we're gonna stay on yet. But David, you know that I got to give you this button, man, because you have been on here. I think Marty, this David might be our all-time most been on the show guest. So we're gonna give David this one right here.
You got to get a goat that's got a pair. That thing is a castrated goat. David deserves a goat that's got some oomph.
I know. Mine have dropped a little. So
I'm telling you, you can't have a nutless goat on the damn show for a guy like Sauers. Come on, man.
So there's the goat for David Sauers. We're gonna get a better goat sound. Richie Ingram, I see you listening in, pal. I'm glad you joined the show today. We're gonna see you next Wednesday. Hey, David, have we had Rich Ingram join the show. He's joining us as a regular host here. The dude crushes 100-mile marathons like we all just crush the shitter, man. He's an exceptional human. He just bangs them off, doesn't he, Marty?
Yeah, he's the Jon Andersen of 100-mile races.
Yeah, Rich, like, I'm gonna go. He's like, I'm gonna go run 100 miles today. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go 100. Yeah, just goes and does it. I'm just gonna go do it. Yeah,
runners are the worst, man. You get a marathon or you get these, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's a line of them just ready to take a dump right before they run. And it's like not even pee. It's just dump.
That's it. So we're going to wrap up the show. Nation, if you want to find David Sauers, you go to Royal Restrooms on the internet. You go find him on LinkedIn. Go find him on the social platforms. David's an exceptional human being, has an exceptional business. I invite you to check it out. If you're looking for some clean restroom experiences anywhere in North America, you got an event happening, you go knock on David's door. If you need to connect with David, you can't find him, come connect with me, John, Marty. We'll get you connected with David. Brother, I enjoy having you on the show. You come back anytime. Final words from you, Mr. Sauers.
Man, thank you so much for having me on. I enjoy listening to you guys all the time. It's always great vibes, great energy, and just, keeps you going. So thank you for having me on here. John, I'm so glad to finally get on here and meet you as well. I did tip my tap to you, So.
I tell you, I feel exactly the same way, brother. It was they were telling me about you. I was like, dude, you got to get this guy back. Come on, man. I got to meet him.
Absolutely. Marty, some comments from you, brother, before we say goodbye today.
Yeah, no, the show was great. And Dave, man, appreciate you just making success and breaking it down. It seems so simple,
Yes.
Definitely appreciate that. But no, this was a great show. I think me and John did a great segment on in the gym with John and Marty and Keith.
Absolutely.
Great job leading the show, man.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. A lot of fun today. Sauers, you come back anytime, man. We love having you on the show. The nuggets you drop, whether they're turd nuggets or gold nuggets, the nuggets you drop are exceptionally valuable. We love that. Good time. Glad to have you here, man. You have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. And Sandra, Liam Jones, we'll see you guys as well. For all of you showing up in the feed today, I appreciate your comments. Rick, Liam, So Young, Brooke, Swedar, Pius, everybody who showed up, thank you guys. Have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday mornings in the lab, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the only show to help you guys get your ass out of bed. We'll see you guys. We'll see you Monday.